Greetings, Master Necromancer Zeiss here with another video. Today we're going to be discussing how I got to level 100 solo self found on seasonal hardcore without dying, obviously. Hardcore, for those of you who don't know, if you die, you lose your progression, items, everything. You lose your character and you start over. Let's dive into it. The most important thing is why I chose to play hardcore. Well, I obviously stated the reason. I can do it without dying. And if I eventually lose this character, I will have absolute blast and total fun building another character from zero to hero, because this is the most fun part of the game, especially with each new season, when you get to experience the new seasonal mechanics, themes, and side quests. This is what seasonal games are all about. Anyway, so I'm gonna go over what I have here real quick and why, and then we're gonna follow the progression of this character, how it happened, when it happened, what happened, and why. Okay, so we're going to the gear first. This is Deathless Visage with Topaz. This is the kind of best in slot armor. Rose could be better though. Or if you don't get any of these, you can get life instead for survivability. Gloves could be better, definitely, like higher rolls and stuff. And maybe instead of the attack speed, I could use additional critical strike damage with bone skills. Pants are also kind of best in slot, similar to the armor. Again, if you don't have any of these affixes on your pants, you might want to go for life, but you can get it on the Paragon board. So you replace rubies when you get Paragon board nodes with maximum to life. And on World Tier 4, if you run around without Topaz, because many things actually CC you, you will die, for sure. Which is something I am pretty sure you don't want, especially on hardcore. Boots are like movement speed is not maxed out, essence cost is okay, but this lightning resist and poison resist, I would rather get these on demand with elixirs when running high tier nightmare dungeons, and I would rather have here dodge chance and dodge chance from distant enemies or corpse tendrils. The weapon is absolutely terrible. The only good thing on it is the high intro. We get damage to injured from Paragon, so this is kind of pointless. Damage to CC doesn't help really much, but I mean it does. And crit with bone, maybe that's the only other good thing. Though what I would rather have is core skill and vulnerable. So far I didn't manage to find a single weapon, right? A single weapon which would have core and vulnerable and some critical strike, either plain critical strike or bone, so I can roll the high in stat on it. Well, I might have found, but they were like too low item power, like for level 60 or something, so not usable at this point. Amulet is amazing with the evasion passive, right? Amazing with the essence cost reduction. Cooldown reduction doesn't really help me with Bone Prison. That's the only cooldown benefit here. But I would rather have here some kind of damage reduction, especially for higher Nightmare Dungeons tiers. And as you can see, movement speed is not so good on this one, and Necromancer could always benefit from movement speed. This is why we're having this critical strikes grant movement speed here instead of something else like becoming unstoppable while CC, because this is hardcore. You don't want to get injured, right? Injured on hardcore is bad. It means the build sucks. Okay, rings. Rings could be definitely better. Resource generation. I don't really need this one here because I'm getting so much lucky hit and resource restoration. I would rather have maximum essence instead here. Lucky hit here is great. Physical damage is great. I have life here, and as you can see, I have critical strike here again, but I already have it here. Critical strike damage here. I would rather have vulnerable as one of those rolls. And yeah, that's it for the gear. Skeletal warriors. I sacrificed warriors to get crit chance, obviously, and I sacrificed mages to get more damage to vulnerable. I sacrificed the iron golem to get more crit damage. I went fully defensive on the Paragon board because what I want to do is get my damage from my weapon and crit. Let's show the stats here. Okay. Weapon damage is really important. Actually, when I go out of town, these stats will change. So let's just move out of town real quick. Nothing here will hurt us, most probably, but as you can see, I get Scent of Death and Inspiring Leader. And this is why these stats change. Let's discuss them right now. Int is our main stat, obviously that's something you wanna get. But on the Paragon board, you should go, I think, at least that's what I do, and that's why I'm sharing with you. What I did is going for the non-main stat as much as possible on the Paragon board, because the main stat is easy to get, as we can see, especially in high rolls in the main weapon. Why I'm not using a shield? Oh, come on, with all this damage reduction and armor and all that on the pants and on the chest, you think I need a shield? I'd rather have more damage, right? So attack speed is okay, you can get more with an elixir. Critical strike chance is enough, and when Corpse Tendrils activates, right, it gets up to 60 plus. Hence, no crit strike chance on rings. Not needed at all. I rarely see white damage text. It's mostly on my basic skill because it's not a bone skill, right? Crit strike damage, nearly 500%. Crit strike with bone, that's okay. Overpowered, not caring so much. Vulnerable could be more, especially if I have it on rings and on the weapon. All damage is fine. This is really the important one here, especially when those bone splinters return from the bone spear cast. Right? Maximum life could be better. Life on kill, this is I think really important on hardcore, especially when you're dealing with enemies who are doing DOT. Armor could be better according to my calculation to get higher damage reduction. Currently I'm getting around 67% or something. But I have more damage reduction on the, like in general, damage reduction and damage reduction from close and from distance. So this is what is helping me survive a lot, really a lot. If you have seen those hardcore death clips and you can see their characters die out of one hit, right? Well, it doesn't happen here because of the damage reduction, a lot of life, and a lot of high rolls on resistances and armor. Especially because of the pants, when we deal any damage because of the disobedience aspect of disobedience, we're getting the required amount of armor to get the maximum of 85% damage reduction. So, this character stayed alive after the game crashed in combat. If you follow my channel, you most probably already know that. I just wanted to let you know why damage reduction is so important and figuring out the defensive things first. Maximum essence, I don't think it's good enough for me. I'll most probably go farm more so get better gear. Essence cost reduction is quite nice. Couldn't be much higher anyway. Maybe if I use a shield it could be. Movement speed, like I said, not okay. Not okay at all. Has to be 152 at least. Like 150 at least. Lucky hit chance, this is what we're focusing on the most because we're getting essence instead of on kill with lucky hit chance. You see essence on kill, didn't bother placing those points much. So let's go back in town and discuss further the end result before we go into any details, which I think would be better to address in like separate videos. Anyway, let's go here. So I started going this way, right? Getting this, and here I have Gravekeeper. I have Gravekeeper to boost both rare nodes, and I obviously focused everywhere on the armor. This part here I did at a later stage. Then I progressed directly here to get the essence and essence on kill. First I got those two nodes as well, of course, because in the early game you need to fix your resource problem. And then I went for the legendary power here, and till this point, without those two could be assigned to later on. Then I went increasing my damage and the defenses as much as possible, right? Then going straight to the next glyph. Initially I was actually using here control and down there amplify. You can imagine what huge boost of damage this could be, especially early on when not having good items. Then you can go, then I went here, I think, no, first I went that way. This is Scent of Death, and I placed here, this is the important part, Corporeal. Why Corporeal? Because it boosts damage, right? And it grants armor. We're gonna focus a lot on armor here. And I also went for this node and this node. Really important because we have 3 more armor nodes. I obviously got the legendary power when I was at this point before the glyph, and went down straight to get more life because I was already dealing enough damage. Then I went for more damage here and straight to the next board. Okay, so before we move to this board, which is Bloodbath, I went to get this board, which is Flesh Eater. Why? Because I'm using the automatically cast corpse skills from the new malignant power, right? So I went to get here essence, but first, instead of essence, I had this glyph right there because I had exploit here to provide the more vulnerable damage because I was already getting plenty of critical strike, right? You can experiment and try. Let me know how that worked. After getting these, I could obviously get more dexterity here, but they require like 3 points to get to. So I chose to go this way, right here, get this one. And then, only then, I went to get this glyph node here, and then I swapped exploit with essence. I swapped their places because, see, I need vulnerable, and this is 34 dex here, and I can get 49. What you can do is, in advance, calculate how many nodes you can assign Paragon points to, so you can max out the glyph as much as possible. Alright? This is the why, the how, and the result. And I think, because this is becoming already quite a long video, I would rather discuss the stages and generalize them in separate videos. For example, only early game, focus only on the early game in a separate video, focus only on the mid game in a separate video, focus only on the late game on a separate video, and then focus only on the end game on the separate video. Why this is important? Because you can't just walk around with the same skill set and gear set and do the same content all over and over. This is, I think, not well optimized, and you might need the different set of skills and gear and Paragon board optimizations in order to be more effective. About demonstrating this build, let me explain what I do and how I do it. I would rather demonstrate it on live stream, so hopefully I'll see you more there. What I'm doing is I am fortifying with Bone Prism. Let's go through the skill points. Okay, I'm fortifying with Hemorrhage and getting Blood Orbs, and with Bone Prison I'm fortifying, so this gives me additional damage reduction when needed. I'm using Bone Spear obviously to damage. I have Corpse Explosion all the time, granting me essence and increasing my damage. I'm using manually casting Decrepify, so I can pick the targets I want to get the DR from, and the ones that I'll be attacking. Those are maxed out, right? And I have the speed here, and the standalone, and the mental memory. What's really important to note here is that Bone Prison counts as 6 minions, so when you fortify, you also decrease your damage reduction, right? 6 times 2 equals 12, so you get only 6, but 6 is better than 0, right? Why I don't see this as being a problem? Well, because when I use the Bone Prison, I get fortified, so I get pretty much the same damage reduction. And I only use it when I mostly use it when I'm pretty sure there will be no more enemies to hit. Like, so how this works? You walk around. Let's demonstrate real quick on some. No, it might not be a suitable environment to demonstrate, but if you come to some of the live streams, I'll do some more in-depth stuff. Like, what I'm doing is Decrepify, right? Bone Spear, Tendrils, Prison, and then Destroy. Did you see what happened there? Many of those beasts hit me at once. And you see, I didn't take much damage. I know they're lower level, and this is hardcore, and I was not afraid to do it, right? This is how damage reduction is really important. This is how important damage reduction is. So make sure to address that, and we'll focus more on each aspect in the next videos, which we'll be discussing mostly initially mobility, resource, defense, and then offense. I think that's the natural way to go, especially because you can get a lot of damage out of your weapon, especially if it has its main stat on it. So that's the general overview of this unkillable, kind of, for now, hardcore character. I'll go into more details on the next ones. Thank you for watching. See you around. Master Necromancer Zeiss out.